It's Friday night in Midtown Manhattan, and I'm here to hang out with Martin Shkreli, who became famous in October for raising the price of a drug that's used to treat HIV-positive patients by more than 5,000%.
The drug in question is called Daraprim. It used to cost $13.50 per pill. Turing changed the cost to a whopping $750.
That's price gouging, pure and simple.
Martin Shkreli is a 32-year-old entrepreneur and company builder from Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. After increasing the price of Daraprim overnight, he became the poster child for capitalistic greed. Shkreli ran with the bad boy image, flaunting his trollish behavior in the media. He's not your typical pharma tycoon anyway. Over the past year, he's funded an indie record label, claimed he would bail Bobby Shmurda out of jail, and purchased the only copy of a legendary Wu-Tang Clan album, with no immediate plans to play it. In December, Shkreli was indicted on securities fraud charges and is now under investigation by both Congress and the Federal Trade Commission for price gouging. So his time in the spotlight isn't over yet. I caught up with him at his Midtown apartment to meet the man behind the headlines. Oh yeah, I noticed we are right next to Pfizer. Is this on purpose?
It's a little on purpose. So I walk by here every morning. I go to work and I walk by Pfizer's quote-unquote world headquarters, and they don't have one lab in there. They don't have, any research going on. This company's cut billions of dollars of research, and they raise price all the time. In fact, they raised price on 100 drugs just last week, and nobody wrote anything about it. But so it's fun to kind of walk by here and simultaneously see like what I love and what I hate. I love drugs and how they can help people, but I also hate companies that are kind of hypocritical and full of shit. And Pfizer's a good example of a company like that. So.
Are you not cold, by the way? It's like you're wearing like a rain jacket.
Yeah,
It's
whatever.
very cold out.
It's all right.
Impervious?
Not impervious.
I think you're getting heckled right now.
No, he said free Shkreli, so that's great.
Oh, it's freeze, like I'm gonna hit you. Sorry, never mind.
No, it's all love.
So yeah,
Is this
your...
yours?
What? No.
It's probably
I don't think so.
FBI.
Yeah, there you go. So
Fucking
this is,
FBI messing with my business.
this is the spot.
Checking to see if it's FBI. It might be FBI. This is the spot.
This is it, right?
That's the album, yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's open a really nice bottle. This is a 2005 Petrus Magnum.
Okay.
So we're gonna have some of this, maybe play some chess or do whatever you want.
It's been a while since I've done this. I'm assuming you go first, right?
I do.
Cool. I know that much, but beyond that, it might be a little bad. So I hit this every time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you play the Sicilian defense frequently, or?
No, I don't know what that even means.
Okay.
So I don't understand what wine we're drinking, and I don't understand the game that we're playing, so it's fine.
The Sicilian defense is one of the more popular moves in chess, but it doesn't appear you know how to play chess very well.
No.
Anyway, what do we want to talk about?
I kind of want to know how you got started in the hedge fund business.
I got interested in stocks as a kid, and my friends made fun of me all the time for that. In fact, I remember the kids that made fun of me for caring about the stock market, and I told them that that it would someday would matter, and I got more and more interested in investments, and the time came for me to get like a part-time job / internship, and I found my way into a hedge fund, but over time, I kind of realized that who gives a shit? At the end of the day, like, is that really a career? Predicting a stock price? You might as well gamble on racehorses or blackjack or poker. I mean, it's such a silly. I'm threatening your queen, so just keep that in mind. It's sort of a silly. It's sort of a silly. Queen's the most important piece.
Cool. I'll move her.
Yes. So in any event, I kind of went from this kind of ridiculous idea that people should sit around and speculate on a stock price like it's something to do. I mean, it's absurd. And start a drug company. One, I could do it. Most importantly, that I understood medicine and science enough to the point where I could start a drug company. Two, is very profitable.
A lot of people think that you are evil. I know you know that.
Yeah.
Are you evil?
Am I evil? No, no, no. I think I'm the opposite of evil, right? I mean, I think that almost it became a thing where I wanted to agree to do it, like participate in it and say, oh yeah, I am evil. You know, let me be the bad guy. And I started doing funny and fun stuff that maybe even extended that concept of, yeah, sure, I'm evil. I'll be the Bond villain. And but the reality is, you know, you're talking to someone that cares deeply about helping people's lives. So I think the idea that I represent pharma is insane. That I don't. I mean, I don't like most drug companies. I think most of them do a bad job. I think that I'm different. Yeah, I'm a capitalist. I'd love to make an even bigger fortune than I've got now, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of a human life. You know, we sell our drugs for $1 to the government, but we sell our drugs for $7.50 a pill to Walmart, to ExxonMobil, to all these big companies, and they pay full price because fuck them. Why shouldn't they? And if I take that money and I'm using it to do research for dying kids, I think I'm a hero, let alone evil.
So how did you decide that you wanted to purchase Daraprim as opposed to any other drug that treats a rare illness?
Well, my team, you know, looks for drugs to buy. And I've been fascinated by infections for a long time. My sister was dying of an infection. And we didn't know it was an infection. It was this just this strange symptomatology where she couldn't move, and it was really scary. And so I've always been sort of fascinated by infections because they're alive within you, and it's amazing because we need drugs to kill these bugs. And for Daraprim, the opportunity presented itself where we could, you know, buy this medicine. This medicine could have been for sale, so we approached this company and we ended up buying it. So we saw that as an opportunity to make money for our shareholders, but also then build a platform of a company that was focused on rare infections. We knew ahead of time that we were going to raise the price. You know, we paid so much for that medicine relative to the amount of money it was making that we knew that we had to raise the price. It wasn't going to be, and the company selling it to us knew.
Shkreli claims he's not hurting people, and that if anyone is to suffer from the price hikes, it's greedy insurance companies. But critics say that bilking those companies, as greedy as they may be, amounts to a cost spread out across taxpayers and raises premiums. When you do that, does that cause healthcare premiums to increase?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, so the US drug industry is a $500 billion industry. And one drug, even the biggest drug in the world, can't influence healthcare premiums. It's too big. In fact, drugs are only a portion of healthcare in general. So doctors and hospitals are actually bigger than drug costs. So drug costs are about 20% of all healthcare costs, and 80% is hospitals and physicians and things like that. And drugs really take it on the chin as the major culprit. No one sort of complains about hospitals or doctors. Raising one of the smallest drugs in the world, say, you know, our drug was public information, it was a $5 million drug. Even if that went up 20-fold, I could tell you it hasn't, you know, it's 100 million, which on a $500 billion number, it's basically meaningless. So to me, it's like, it's a little, you know, I mean, I have a big mouth, and that's kind of the reason a lot of this stuff has happened. That was a good move, for once. And, but, you know, there are more expensive drugs. There are bigger drug price increases. I'm not the, you know, and I'm not saying that, like, there's a slippery slope of saying, like, well, I'm not the worst child abuser. I'm not the worst, you know, domestic violence person. That's not what I'm saying at all. You know, because I don't think that'd be an appropriate argument. I defend what we've done, and I think it's a good thing. But at the same time, like, if you want to think it's a bad thing, then, you know, you can look at other companies. And in fact, the last thing I'll say is about 60 to 70% of our patients actually do get it for free. And you can imagine if you extend this kind of offer out to people, they'll take advantage of it. And they do. You know, it's hard to run a business like that.
Shkreli has touted that people who can't afford Daraprim can contact him and get it for free. But physicians and hospital systems managers across the country have reported that they can't afford to stock the drug, which causes shortages in emergency situations. I'm sure you know that your company, among others, is part of this investigation in the Senate Committee on Aging, and there have been, people that are representing hospital systems testifying and saying that, there have been shortages at their hospitals in emergency situations, and they can't afford to stock the drug. Beyond just individuals being able to appeal to you personally for free, how do you respond to that kind of an issue?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. So before the price increase, most hospitals had a bottle lying around, and they were able to, I feel it's getting hot in here. They had a bottle, and they, they're sort of, because this drug is so rarely used, there's 5,000 hospitals in the US, and there's only a few thousand people that get this illness to begin with. So most hospitals will actually never see anyone with this illness. And so if you have to hold a bottle just in case, and now the price of that bottle is just skyrocketed, I would complain too. And we got all these complaints, and we decided to say, why don't we make you a tiny bottle that is cheaper, we'll lower the price just for you, and that seems to have solved the situation as far as I can tell. If you can't afford my medicine, you know where to find me. I'll be online, I'll be on Twitter. There's a way to easily send me a message that says, I can't get this drug, the copay's too high, help me out, Martin. I will run to help you. I've got nothing better to do.
Mm. Yeah, you've talked about how your company plans on spending a lot more than the average drug company on research and development. Can you talk about specifically, what percentage you plan on using toward research and development versus other companies?
Yeah, I mean, I love R&D. We spend about 60% of our revenue on R&D. The average drug company spends 15%. So for us, we put all of our extra income into R&D. We don't pay dividends. We don't do anything with our cash and spend it on research. And I'm happy. I don't care. For Daraprim to cost more money, fine. If that's the price I have to pay to find a new medicine for a dying kid, I'll raise it even more. What do I care? Microsoft is going to lose money. Walmart's going to lose money. Why are we crying about this? It's not like there's people that are actually going to suffer from this. It's big, fat, corporations that pay healthcare bills in the United States. But the reality is Daraprim is dangerous for you. If you took Daraprim right now, you'd get very sick. And I don't see why that needs to be the case. I think you should be able to take a drug that doesn't hurt you. That's not too much to ask. And while we're making all this money, whose responsibility is it? It's ours. And the people who invented Daraprim 80 years ago didn't think about that. And the companies, shame on them, who owned it between 1940 and last year when we bought it, they didn't care either to improve it. So we're the first company that said, you know what, let's take an honest look at this medicine. It kind of sucks. And again, we're taking a big gamble. Like, we have no idea if our second generation drug will work.
The escalating price of drugs in the U.S. has become a focus in the 2016 presidential race. The consolidation and lack of competition within the American pharmaceutical business has basically allowed companies to charge whatever they want. In most of Europe, where public health care is a norm, it's governments that determine what drugs to cover and at what price. The United States is one of the few countries or only countries that doesn't set drug prices. Why do you think that's a good thing?
I'm not sure it's a good thing, right? I mean, I think countries that set drug prices, that's sort of an imaginary concept. No country can set a drug price. Drug companies set drug prices. What kind of is misunderstood and what people don't understand is they're companies, they have owners, and their owners demand that they extract as much profit as possible. And that's the rule of law today. If you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you. That's the way the world works.
Whose turn is it? It's mine or yours?
Your clock went down, but I moved my king here.
Oh, okay.
You're in check, so this whole game is effed, but whatever.
So yeah, maybe we call it a game. I'm happy to concede that you won, although I am in check, so I guess that's fine. Good game, man.
Good game.
Yeah, cool. Shkreli's Wu-Tang Clan album set him back $2 million, although you wouldn't guess it. It sits casually in an embossed case in his living room, the only place that it's ever been spun.
They call it the Shaolin School. The two CDs are each schools.
and no one's heard that before. But one is the Shaolin school, and one is the Allah school. I think, like, personally, like, I see the Jizza and me as, like, it sounds silly. Like, I see him and me and vice versa. I hope vice versa. He's like sort of the scientist rapper type guy.
Are people ever going to be able to hear this album?
Other than right now, I think it depends. You know, it depends on the world. You know, I think that I could see myself in a place where I break it, you know, and I've seriously considered that. Or just snap it in half and, you know, bury the remains of it so no one tries to reconstruct it. And then I've seen a world where I give it away for free, and I've seen a world where I charge for it or something like that, or, you know, and if people want to hear it, I'll put it out. If people don't want to hear it and they don't appreciate the Wu-Tang for what I think it is, that's fine too. So I don't know. Everything's sort of open-ended. I just bought it a few months ago, and I was arrested a month ago, so my life's sort of all over the place. Who knows? Maybe the feds will own it soon, but you know, I have a contingency plan if that happens.